Oftentimes we struggle to take the next best step in our lives. Sometimes it's due to fear, past failures, or we just want to have all the control. Sometimes we just don't know what the next best step is. And, there could be many other reasons. But you know what I realized? I realized that many of you don't want to deal with what's happening inside of you. You don't want to be real with yourself, right? So, and sometimes too, it's just hard to let go. It's really hard to let go. At times we create self-made promises that cannot be kept. Or we walk that religion routine and wonder why things aren't working. This month, I am so excited. I am going to hone in on the struggle is real as it pertains to your identity and your purpose, right? So, listen, if you don't know who I am, hi. I am your host, Roz Paul, your mindset coach, speaker, and trainer. And I want to help you take that next best step today. So listen, there's two things that I need you to do. And if you can do them today, that would be great. If not, find that time to get it done. Be real with yourself. But these two things that I need you to do, I want you to just listen to because I think it's important. It's important. The first one is after you hear this intro, you are going to watch, hear, and listen to some amazing sit-down chats that I've had with some of my sister girlfriends. Right now, after this intro, you're going to hear from three gals that I sat with, Natalie Diamond, Kameka Miller, and Roz Brown, as they sit and talk about how the struggle was real for them. It was real for them to let go, and it was real for them to walk the true walk, and it was real for them to let go of some ties. Okay, and it's going to be funny, fun. I might have to cut myself out a little bit in the video, but I think you are really going to enjoy it and be able to take that next best step. The second thing that I need you to do is listen after the recording with the sister chats to really take that time to hear how you can get connected with me. I have some workshops that are coming up, and I would love for you to attend. That workshop is called Free to Be, and it is dealing mostly on the side of identity and purpose and getting to know who you are. And then the other thing that I have to offer is coaching by me, or with me, not even by me, but with me. I want to do life with you, and I want to show you how to be free to be yourself. And I think that is so important in order for you to walk that walk of knowing your identity and knowing your purpose. So tune in. I won't hold you any longer. Let's go ahead and listen to the sister chat with my awesome girlfriends. Have a good day. Guys, welcome. I want to welcome you to our sister chat right now. We are here with these awesome gals that are here to spend quality time with me during Freedom Friday. So let me go ahead and get started and introduce my special guests today. But they're not guests, they're sisters to me. So, yeah. So first on the lineup, we have Natalie Diamond Franklin. Hey, Natalie. She is a Christian blogger who has a passion to help others see his goodness. She vlogs on her YouTube channel, and it's called Natalie Diamond, right? She also has a great ministry called Diamond in You, all right? In the letter, in, and the letter, you, just to be clear, all right? On her YouTube channel, she vlogs about single women that have challenges on staying single, right? She also talks about beauty or the lifestyle there is within beauty, right? And her life journey as it's getting better and better every day. This girl here is no joke, all right? Natalie has been married to the love of her life, Franklin, for about 2 years. Yes, she's admitting it. It's the love of her life. I hope Franklin's that. And they've been together for about two years. I consider them 3. Has it been 3? Okay, 3 years. We're going to work that out. I'm sure it feels like forever, right? They also have an adorable son. His name is Zale. Gosh, every time I hear that, I think of like something expensive and valuable and oof. Yes, girl. Yes. Zale, okay, he is 5 months old. And he is adorable. And she'll be sharing a little bit about her journey today. So again, let's meet Natalie. Hi. All right, next up, we have Kameka Miller. Say hi, Kameka. Kameka is a mother to a promise from heaven, as she would put it in her own words, a wife to God's best, okay? She is a wedding planner and event, not coordinator, but event planner. Do I have that right?
Perfect.
All right. I probably serve alongside her in the ministry here at Abundant Life. That is our local church. Give it up to Abundant Life. Woo-hoo. All right. As you can tell, that's where we all go. Kameka will be sharing her struggle briefly and her restoration process that has brought her here today. Okay, she also has a Facebook page called Mended by the Master. Oh my gosh, I won't go there yet. Where she shares awesome and encouraging words to all of those who may have been broken through or felt broken through some things in their lives. And look, she knows how to heal from that and help you walk through that. All right, so say hi, Kameka, one more time.
Hello.
There you go. That's my sister. Okay, so the one on the end over there, this is Roz Brown. She wanted me to say a lot of things about her as it pertains to our relationship, but we'll talk about that at another time. I'll keep it as bestie. Okay, yeah. I'm going to keep her over there, okay? She has such a creative spirit. She has a heart for those that are in need. She's also an owner of a business called Sweet Treasure Creations, okay? She also builds in that business, if you will, she creates these amazing diaper cakes. And they are creations from heaven. Like you would never see them anywhere. Right? So why am I promoting this so much? Because she is the bestie. All right. Got it. All right. Check her out on her Facebook page. Again, Sweet Treasured Creations. There we go. She too has a cute little one who is 15 months old. And she is also newly married to a crazy big bear called Craig Brown. Now, you know what? I did not mention that Kameka, too, has an adorable son. How old is your son right now, Kameka?
Logan is 2.
Logan! He is 2 and adorable.
Thank you.
And it is so ironic, guys, that I have all these women here. They all have been single for a period of time. They all have one child. They all have boys. I didn't plan that. I promise you. I did not plan that, but God knew. And they so happen to just mesh so well together. Hey, just because you go to the same church doesn't mean you mesh with everyone in that church, okay? We all love each other, but we don't all mesh, right? So anyhow, I want to thank all of you ladies for being here today. I appreciate it. And we will be pulling up our drinks, just so you know. We went to Starbucks and we got our drinks to make sure that we're in line for you. All right? Okay, cool. So today's topic will be the struggle is real, how to just keep your identity intact while you're walking this life, right? And how to also stay focused on your purpose, right? And these ladies have walked such an amazing journey that I wanted to make sure that I shared it with you. It's great to know that you are not alone. It's great to know that you're not, that though you might be stuck in something right now, there is a way out. And there is a way to make sure you're okay first. Make sure you're okay first, and then go through what you need to go through. Remember, you are not alone. Even if you don't see any of us, you still have Christ inside of your life, okay? So you're never, ever alone. All right, so let me just go through 2 definitions that I wanted to share with you right now. The first one is identity. The fact of being who or what a person is, right? Another definition is the transformation that leaves what's deep inside unchanged. I kind of like that second one. The transformation that leaves what's deep inside unchanged. And when I share that, every time I hear that, I don't know if you ladies agree, and you can jump in whenever you want to, but when I hear the definition of identity, it really pulls out of me saying that God brought you here, right, with an identity that was already inside of you. Now, internally, it's there, but you're changing from glory to glory until you reach or identify or grab a hold to or be a part of the identity that he created you to be on this earth. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that's one definition. And the other definition I wanted to share was the definition of purpose. Okay, so the reason for which something or someone is here and created for. You're here. You're created for a purpose. They were here for this purpose, right? Okay, and then the second definition is a person's sense of resolve or determination. I don't know how to take that second one. I don't know where I read it. I don't understand the second one. But the first one I really, am honing in on. So you got your terms for the day. Study it. Memorize it. We're going to talk some real talk now. Okay. All right, so right now we're going to start off with Miss Natalie. Okay, she's had quite a journey. She has had lots of schooling, which I totally admire that. Not for, if you haven't had schooling, it's okay. But at the end of the day, she went to school. And she finished? Yeah. She did. She finished. I didn't read her bio all the way through. So, I just have a relationship with her. That don't mean I dug in every piece of her life, right? Okay. So, Natalie, can you just share how your identity or how you've been real or caring for yourself and trying to just identify you through the process of life before you even got married? What is that identity, if you will, look like for you?
I had two.
Okay.
Because I would say unfortunately, the majority of my life, I didn't know who I was.
Okay.
So I would say, I went through that whole process of, everyone goes through that middle school, then high school, you try to figure yourself out, you get to college, and you meet a whole group of different people, start exploring in a different world. And once you graduate college, that's the real, okay, I went to school for this. The sad part is a lot of people go to school for things they aren't supposed to go to school for, but that's another topic in itself. But, God works in mysterious ways. So the schooling, you're right, I did go to school up to my master's, and thankfully both degrees do cover what I'm doing now in my ministry. Nice. But I would say that before, what really changed, the two lifestyles that I had were between before Christ and after.
Okay. BC life.
Yes. BC life. Sometimes I have to put that out there. BC life, I would have. Yes. You know what I'm saying. Yeah. But
we're all in AC life.
We're not in AC life.
We're all in AC. AC. But if you have BC, it's all right.
We try to get you there, girl. Yes. Got you. But yeah, before Christ, I would say I was lost. I was lost in one thing, and I was one thing only, and it was boys. It was guys.
So fine. Go ahead.
Girl. they are the ones
I am married, I promise.
They're the ones that get you, right?
Yes.
Because you just kind of, you know, a lot of us have that want to just be in a relationship. People have their own things that they idolize. I idolized guys. I never liked being single, so my entire, I would say, single life between the relationships. I mean, in relationships, we'll go there. We won't go there. But sometimes, you know, the sad thing is a lot of people out there, they're in relationships, but they're really not. A lot of times they're with guys and they're pretending to be married, they're pretending to be in a relationship, but they're really not.
Right.
Because the guy is in many relationships. But it's one of those things that you kind of have to understand who you are in order to understand what you deserve and not to put up with. So before Christ, I found myself in relationships that weren't treating me very right, you know, that just kind of had me caught up in the whole love aspect, and I found my identity in being with whoever I was with, and when I was single, something was wrong with me. So
I got a question for you. Before you move forward with that, did you have a fear of being alone
I did.
in that time?
Oh yeah. I just kind of felt like if you weren't in a relationship, like something was wrong. It was kind of weird, and also it was just that I wasn't in a relationship with God. So when you're not in a relationship with God, you have a
Substitute.
you have a hole that you're trying to fill, and you don't realize what you need to really fill it with, which is God.
Right.
So everyone has their own thing that they fill it with. I felt it with guys.
Gotcha.
So I needed that reassurance. I needed my what do you call it? Compliments.
Affirmation.
Yes. You know, you're beautiful, you know, and all of that made me feel good. I didn't have daddy issues when it comes to my dad, my fleshly dad, but I had daddy issues when it came to God, because when you know the word, you know who you are. But before Christ, I didn't know the word, so I found myself, you know, just in a pool of wanting that. And also part of my testimony is that I was a model as well. So yes, nice to an extent, because
it ain't just the looks, I guess. It ain't always the looks.
That industry is very tricky. It's very scary, because you find yourself sucked into things that aren't right. You know, you find yourself stuck into worrying about the wrong things, which is vanity and what you have, how much money you have, what you know, the luxury things and things that just don't matter. So before Christ, I was all over the place. I was basically stuck in trying to find who I was in a guy, but not just any guy. Because of the industry I was in, I needed that guy of a certain caliber. So he had to have, you know, the nice car, you know, he had to have the nice job and all of that. And I was a mess, I have to say. But, you know, after...
You seem like you still a mess after.
You organized the mess.
Organized.
After that, before that, you all over the place.
But we give it to Jesus to handle our mess, right? It ain't us trying to handle the mess.
No,
we give it to Jesus to handle our mess, because we just a mess without him.
Without him.
So.
But I would say I would say that once, and when I say along, most of that's the good part. Most of my life I was so confused. I was finding myself wrapped up in the world's image of love, which is being with the guys, with the world's image of what looks good, which is being a certain shape, having certain hair, you know, having your makeup done, and just being fabulous. That's what's beautiful in the world's eye. So I found myself really wrapped up in that world before I found Christ. So I would say that once I found Christ, I found who I was. I ended up having to leave all of that behind. Long story short, because this can go on for a while. But long story short.
But I love it though.
Long story short, God was tugging on me for a very long time. And I struggled with it, fought with it, had family members praying for me, didn't want it. And I was continuously happy temporarily in the world, but, going to clubs and having that boyfriend that didn't treat me right, but I was okay with the temporary love because the temporary love is all I knew.
Right.
So I ended up finding myself at one point in my life, and it was late, like 28, 29 years old. I finally told myself that this can't be it, because as you said earlier, I did go to school, so it wasn't a matter of me not having a good job. I didn't have a problem.
Or even the education. It's not that. It's not that you were dumb. You know what I mean?
Right.
But it was your identity was found in what was in front of you.
Yeah.
Really.
And that's the problem of the world. Unfortunately, a lot of singles, which is why I have a ministry that's out for the singles.
Yes.
There's an issue with them understanding where to find their value, which is in God.
Yeah.
When you're finding your value in the worldly way, that's when you get in trouble because you get wrapped up in the wrong things.
Right.
So after a while of finally allowing God to capture my heart, I kind of let even my past friends, my ex, my boyfriend that was my boyfriend at the time, I broke up with him. It wasn't an easy task,
I bet.
but I did it because I believed that much in the Word.
Right.
So I ended up leaving friends in the past, boyfriend in the past, and I started off brand new in the Word.
You know why? Because
brand new.
You knew Christ, and Christ washes the old and makes new, right? So at the end of the day, Natalie, you were able to take who you were and face the reality of where you were. Because I mentioned in my recording the intro before coming in here is that a lot of people, especially women, don't want to confront what the situation is at hand. They just keep going and going and going, and finally the moment came. We all have a time. We all have a moment where it's like, okay, enough is enough. Let's I want to be whole. I want to be happy. I don't want the temporary. I don't want I think it's filling me, but then I wake up and I'm feeling guilty. Like, what's that don't make sense. So, but I love your story. It is so genuine. And I love the fact that you confronted the issue. I will speak for a moment about a friend who is being told, and I won't share who it is, but the friend was being told, you know what, going to therapy is like the most stupidest thing ever. Like, why would you go to therapy if you know the Word of God? Like, if you know the Word, you'll be okay and healed from that. Yes, very true. But I had to tell that friend that, look, if what the therapist did is help you to identify an issue that maybe you weren't able to recognize, that you may not have understood on your own, and then you take that information, not that you have to stay stuck with what the therapist said, but you take that information and you bring that to the Word and make sure you match it up with what does God say to heal myself with that. And I bring that as a case because that is an example of you telling yourself without a therapist, quote unquote, on what is really happening. And you had to confront it, and you're like, enough is enough. This is what it is, and I don't care how ugly it looks or how scary it might be, but because of it, you're here today with an amazing ministry, with an amazing husband. He crazy too, though. And a gorgeous, valuable Zale son. Amen to that. Well, thank you for your story. We'll continue some of that. All right, moving. Hey, boo. So Kameka is coming from a place of a long line of church upbringing. And you would think it's not like knew of God. Natalie knew of God.
I knew of God.
But here's another instance where she was in it, right? In the church realm, in the church atmosphere, Bible thumping mama.
Definitely.
I mean, like, I know her mama. She don't play. And so y'all, but you know, her history included a long line of upbringing. And Kameka, can you share maybe some challenges that you might have had as far as identity comes into play with an upbringing of quote unquote church? And I say church, aka sometimes it's just religion.
Yeah. So yeah, no, that is a great way to put it, because I mean I was in church in my mother's womb, basically. So so definitely I grew up in the church. I knew of the Lord. I accepted God at a really young age. So it wasn't a question of, whether or not I didn't know if there was a God.
Right.
I definitely knew there was a God, had a connection with the Lord.
Right.
But I would say definitely, especially when you grow up in it, there always comes a point in the journey where you have to know God for yourself.
Yeah.
Have that deep connection.
Yeah.
And have that revelation of God on your own.
Yeah.
And church is wonderful. You need to be planted. You need to be planted in a church. Go every Sunday or Wednesday or whenever the doors open. Definitely need to. But also outside of that, building a relationship with God and not waiting until Sunday for them to tell you who the Lord is.
Right.
But it's a walk. It's a journey with the Lord.
Right.
So even in that, I would say probably in high school, teenage years, I came to this place in my journey or walk with the Lord where I was like, okay, God, I love you, but if I'm going to be honest with myself, I'm looking over here, this is happening.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking over here and this is happening. And now I need to come to the place where now I need to, even outside of my mother is like, even though, you said don't cross her, she's, she loves her family hard.
Mm-hmm.
And she always made sure that we were always in an environment where not only prayer, but all the Lord was very present in my household.
Mm-hmm.
But even outside of that, I had to come to a place with God where I'm like, okay, God, outside of what my mom says, outside of what I'm hearing at church, me having that in my heart and living it out for real. Because sometimes it's easy, especially if you've grown up in the church. It's easy for you to know the right thing to say, when to say it, how to say it, so everybody thinks that you're on the right page or on the same page. But then you could be living outside of that. So I just remember in high school being on that journey of finding out what that looks like for Kameka, not looks like for Kameka, but allowing the Lord to take my hand fully as my heart as well. And that was we'll probably be here all day if I went through the whole thing. But I remember my early 20s. I really, like Natalie was saying, I really came to a place where I was like, okay, God, you know what? I want to start living for you for real.
Yeah, not the play one, but the real
and not
one.
the play, not the in and out.
Yeah.
Not this week I'm with the Lord and I'm like, I'm strong and I'm with it. And then next week I'm like, oh yeah, I love God, but and then from there, allowing the Lord to take me on a I keep on saying journey, but taking me to a place where had I not made that decision on my own, I could attend church from now until Jesus comes back and I would have been in the same spot. So it was just really allowing myself to be open to who God is and not just taking it from what someone else is telling me, but allowing him to be Lord of my life. So.
Well, can I ask a question in between that? With you two being A-type personalities, I know that. Now you know that, right? Was the process in learning who you are as you grew in Christ, where was I going with this? Was it what you expected it to be? Because I know I'm A-type, and I'm like, okay, Lord, we're going to do this and this, and this is how we're going to connect.
Yeah.
That's how I am.
Yeah.
Right? But the question is, did you guys, after you decided to like let go, if you will, did it unfold the way that you thought it would?
Man makes plans, but God has the final say. Honestly, truly, that's how mine played out. I mean, I planned and things didn't turn out the way Kameka wanted, but thankfully so.
Yeah.
Because I feel like, and I know in my life I always undershoot. I'm like, okay, God, I have this plan. I've marked off every box. It's like this perfect plan.
Yes.
And then when God is actually the one that unfolds it, his plan is so much better.
Yeah.
So much better.
Feel the same?
Honestly, no.
No?
I feel like my journey was, if I could say perfect, I'd say perfect.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Well then, happy.
You know what?
Lord.
Because, and it's
Run
funny,
with it.
and it's funny, because I'm type A. You said I was type A?
Yeah.
You know I was type A? Okay.
Well, can you tell? Like,
I am type A. I'm very type A. But the funny thing is, I didn't mention this, but when I was kind of deciding if I want to give my life to God, I like what you said earlier, because that's exactly what I did. I told God, I'm going to write down 10 questions and I need you to answer them within 30 days before I will decide that I Can you believe that?
yeah, that's something I would do.
I still can't believe I did that, but God is so funny because he had been tugging at me for so long that he answered those questions. Because back then I didn't grow up in the church. Like I went to Catholic school. That's totally different.
Okay.
But even in being raised, I wasn't being raised. I didn't grow up like you did. You were really in it. I wasn't. So it's like I didn't understand, and I was a Christian, so I didn't understand the Holy Spirit. I didn't understand. I didn't know prophets and stuff like that, right? So when I told myself that, you know, I gave God the questions and I said, if you answer these questions after a 30-day fast, because I saw someone said they fasted for something, I was like, I'm going to try that.
Well, that's a good
I didn't
thing
know
to
what it
learn
was.
about when you become saved. Like, hold on, we can't eat?
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean? Like,
I was so shocked. So long story short, I ended up fasting for 30 days. I remember I only ate fish because I had heard about the Daniel fast.
Gotcha.
So I started to do
The
that.
Daniel fast.
And then after 30 days, a coworker had invited me to church. And I went to the church and I had the Bible and the 10 questions that I had put in there when I gave God the ultimatum. How dare I?
Don't you love it, Jesus?
And then I went to church and I was like, God, I want to, you know, be in a journey with you, but I also kind of love what I'm doing.
Right.
But you got to show up. You got to show up for me to do it. And he really did answer all of the questions. He had a prophet call me to the front and answer all. I don't know if you guys remember the beginning of your journey when that's when God shows up, boy. Every single time you now it's like you gotta work for it. I mean, he shows up, but you know what I mean. When you're a babe, it's like he's always there. So he answered every question. I was weeping on the floor because I'd never seen anything like that.
Yes.
So ever since then, I basically, because he had showed up so much, I told myself, this is it.
Yeah.
My all is to God. There's no if, ands, or buts about it. So when I tell you people at some point would even call me a goody-goody, like, what is wrong with her? I didn't care because I knew what I saw. So I kind of felt like if he could really answer all these questions for me, what else can he do?
Yeah.
And I remember I read, if you're obedient to his word, he will give you what you ask for. So I was so picky and I was just so type A. I'm like, I can't do that. I gossip, I'm not gossiping. Well, if they would ask me something, my favorite phrase when I first became Christian was, my name is Bennett and I ain't in it. Like, keep me out of it because I'm not trying to get in trouble. Because I want, and because of that, and I really think that because I was so obedient to his word, he really did bless my life in a way that I just can't. Knew friends, knew everything. That's when I found my husband right after, everything. So, I mean.
Shout out to Franklin!
Yeah.
I'm so bad. I'm so sorry I left you out of this. Craig, you coming up.
Yeah, so
So
I had to
good.
share that.
Like,
yeah.
this is so good. So again, our focus is on identity and purpose. And she's not least, but she just on the end. Okay, we ain't gonna leave her out the conversation. We're gonna go over to Rose, because her story is though, again, they all have similar current statuses, so to speak, and all boys. Her beginnings, if you will, as far as the journey towards identifying her identity with where she is in life, was a little different. It was a little different. Rose was really, really, what's the term that I use on my paper? I'm going to use my cheat sheet. She was really into family. I mean, I won't spoil the bubble, but I don't want to spoil what her juice will be. But before we go to you, Rose, I want to remind everyone that he is so faithful. He's so faithful, and he meaning God, if you don't know who I'm talking about, he is such a gentleman. Like, he will meet you where you are, and he will take you to where you need to be, because at the end of the day, though he is a gentleman, he is jealous. And with that jealousy comes with such love. So with love, I will bring it over to Rose.
Hey.
See you over there.
I see you.
All right, so Rose, can you share how family, and I use that term loosely, has played a big part in creating your identity, or just where are you now, and how'd you get there as family played a part of that?
Family became a really big thing in my life. And my family is priority, whether it's siblings, whether it's cousins or aunts, is priority. And that's how I was brought up that way, because my mother had, let's say, 5 sisters and 4 brothers. And then on my dad's side,
That's a lot of people.
like, I think it was like maybe 8 sisters and 1 other brother here. So it's been a huge family. And we all grew up in a household where you sacrifice for one another, siblings, you know. So I was brought up in that aspect. My mom being here, because my family is from Haiti, she sacrificed a lot to make sure her other siblings were to make it here,
Right.
in the U.S. back in the days. And so I watched my mother did a lot of sacrifice, as well as my father too. And like Kameka, I was brought up, but not too much into, because it was more religious versus actually having a relationship with God, because I didn't understand that. But it was opposite, because that upbringing brought a confusion in my life. Why do I have to go to church if daddy don't go to church?
Gotcha.
That was what it is. And both indicate their moment of experience with him. I had that moment after my parents died. So I know
You
to go
say
to
experience with him.
What experience with him?
With Christ.
With Christ.
Okay.
I didn't know.
Okay.
I know of God, but I didn't know really who He was. I didn't know. Go to church, sing the hymns. It was like a routine, but I wasn't consistent with it, because I didn't feel like it was like a made up thing. It was like a somewhat fairy tale in my mindset, because I didn't know who He really was at that time. So, which brought a lot of, I hid my identity in family. So if family needed something, I'm on it. Or if I have to work 2 jobs for family. Rose was not in the midst. Rose had to make sure family was taken care of. So losing my father at the age of 41, that's a long story itself. And then 8 years later, losing my mom. And then come the responsibility of taking care of 2 younger sisters. So in the midst of it, I thought in my mind I was doing the right thing. I was like, I'm being there, I'm hustling. And it did a lot of sacrifices on where I hurt myself, because I really didn't know who I was.
Right.
Because I hid my identity, making sure they were okay. And there was a lot of, let's say, sickness going on. And I was the only one that's steady. I was good and I was working 2 jobs and doing all of that. So in the midst of me trying to figure my identity in my, I would say like in my, well, it took a toll on me after I lost my father, because I really just lost my identity altogether. Because I was
Because
that,
your identity was in him.
In
so
him.
him being lost
yes,
or gone caused you to lose
my identity.
you because you thought your foundation
Yes.
was there.
And me being
Gotcha.
real, that's including thinking about suicide, wanting to take my life, not once, several times, because of not knowing who I was when he left the world. And he didn't live such a great life because he didn't know Christ himself.
Right.
So
Right.
that made me lose, because I was daddy's little girl. Now
Right.
it's like, I think it's nothing. I know it's 5 of us all together. Well, it was 6 because all this is the past. But I just lost me
Yeah.
when he was gone, and then tried to figure me out when my mom got sick a couple of years later down the line.
Right.
And then my sisters got sick. So I just lost me altogether.
So, Rose, my question to you is, did you feel like you were the God of your family?
I know. I was cut off the side of the video. But you know what, y'all? Wow. Can I say that it was just some of the real and relational things that we got to talk about, just being together, having sister chat. Look, at the end of the day, it was good, and all it's going to do is just get better. Okay, so listen, before I let you go, I want to know, are you ready to know who you are and what you are called to do? I know you are. So look, let me just give you 3 easy things that you can do, that call to action that you can take right now, today, at this very moment, before the next week even comes. Okay, so number 1, I want you to register for my upcoming workshop in January. It's called Free to Be, and all you have to do is click on the link below, and there you can register. Okay, thing number 2 that you can do real easy, allow me to personally coach you. I can coach you. I have a program called Free to Be You. Yeah? So look, to find out more options on how to allow me to be your coach, all you have to do is email the words, coach me, Roz. Coach me, Roz. And you could send that email to Roz Paul, mindsetcoach@gmail.com. The email address will be below as well, just in case you didn't hear how I spelled it. And the third and easy thing that you can do is, look, subscribe, like my page, love my channels, give comments, share, do whatever, but continue to connect with me, so that way each week you can get uplifting, relational, and real actions, so that way you can live a whole, happy, and successful life. So look, guys, I gotta go, but until my next episode, until my next post, until my next live, I am your host, Roz Paul, your mindset coach, trainer, and speaker. Adios.